Senate condemns killing of soldiers in Delta State as House of Representatives urges Nigerian military to consider pardoning perpetrators. Nigerian Air Force airstrike hits terrorist logistics storage in Niger State. INEC issues ultimatum to political parties, says no time extension for submission of candidates' names. On the foreign scene, United Nations report says 35% increase in people affected by violence in South Sudan. Hello there, good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Abuja as the Nigerian Senate has called on the federal government to apprehend the perpetrators of the horrific killings of military personnel in Okwama community of Delta State. The upper legislative chamber equally called for the recruitment of more policemen so that the military will not be dragged into civil matters. Here's the report.
The calls were part of the resolutions reached at Tuesday's plenary after a brief debate on two motions by Senators Abdulaziz Yaradua and Ede Dafinone. Last Thursday, some senior army officers and their men who were on a peace mission to the troubled area were reportedly ambushed and killed by armed youths.
They were not only killed, but their bodies were also decapitated. The unfortunate incident occurred when the troops responded to a distress call after the communal crisis between the Okwama and Okoloba communities, both in Delta State.
Lawmakers further described the act as provocative, saying the incident portends danger for innocent indigents of communities in the region.
What happened in Delta was not an accident. It was a designed and well orchestrated effort to kill our military men.
It's not every day, even in a war situation, it's not every day a country suffers this kind of loss, even in a war, even during wartime.
Mr. President, Nigeria, this is crunch time for our country, and we must always ensure that whatever thing that we're doing, we must be tolerant with one another.
In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, advised the military to carry out a thorough investigation in order to ascertain that those that murdered the soldiers in Delta State are actually Nigerians. Senator Akpabio expressed doubt if the culprits are from the Niger Delta.
We are not at war, even in a period of war, to lose such number of personnel. No community will go to the extent of doing this kind of thing. I don't think they are from Niger Delta. So I think the first point should be that we should first establish the culprits who committed this crime.
The Senate, however, rejected a prayer to observe a minute's silence or to commiserate with the families of the innocent civilians killed in the process, saying that their numbers are still unknown.
In a related development, the House of Representatives has called on the Nigerian military to consider pardoning the people of Okwama and Okoloba communities in Ughelli South and Bomadi local government areas of Delta State following the killing of Nigerian military personnel. The House also called on the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to both communities involved to promote peace among them. Recall that on Thursday, March 14, 2024, 17 military personnel were killed while on a peaceful and mediatory mission to quell the communal clashes between the communities in Delta State. Here's the report.
The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance raised during plenary by Representative Babajimi Benson, the member representing Ikorodu Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Raising the motion, Benson explained that the military personnel were only responding to a distress call in their service to their fatherland when they were ambushed and killed on Thursday.
The House is distressed that the perpetrators of this heinous act did not only stop at killing this military personnel, but also sacrilegiously debase their remains by ripping out their hearts and other body parts.
The House, however, adopted an amendment of the earlier resolution following a motion raised by Representative Francis Wave. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, who presided over the plenary, later called for a voice vote that went in favor of the House majority.
It's something that should not be tolerated anywhere, and the perpetrators must be brought to book. I agree with the prayers that the event, the sad occurrence, should be investigated, except that I request that the House Committee on Defense lead that process.
This motion as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Defense, Army, Police, and National Intelligence for further legislative action.
A minute of silence for the deceased military personnel was observed by the House. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has summoned the Minister of Health and Permanent Secretary of the ministry to appear before it or face sanctions. Chairman, House Committee on HIV and AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria Control, Amobi Oga, said the committee's invitation to the ministry is to ascertain an alleged embezzlement of $300 million meant for procurement of anti-malaria for communities.
We all know that malaria is now an epidemic in Nigeria. I can tell us that the government have always want to help the people. But most times, the civil servants are our problem.
As a committee, we are beginning to see how our civil servants connive with international bodies, in this case, UNOPS, to run Nigerian businesses down.
I see, or we have all seen now, that the permanent secretary, and in my opinion, all of Ministry of Health, do not share the same passion that we do to save our people. That is a shame.
They are not here to defend these allegations. Let's bring these allegations when they are here. They refuse to come. Let's not tell them what they are going to hear when they come here. When they come here, then we can now attack them or present them with whatever allegation we have.
The summon followed the refusal of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health to honor the invitation of the committee for 3 consecutive times.
Now, meanwhile, the military high command has denied reports that troops went on a reprisal attack after the killing of 16 soldiers in Okwama community of Delta State. The deceased soldiers and officers and soldiers were from 181 Amphibious Battalion in Bomadi local government area of Delta State. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, had directed the immediate investigation and arrest of those involved in the heinous crime. Days after the order, residents of Okwama community fled to neighboring Ughelli for fear of reprisal by Nigerian soldiers. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Edward Buba, on Monday says the armed forces, being a disciplined force, complies with its rules of engagement, laws of armed conflict, and respect for human rights. Buba Gapwet noted that it was against this background that the Nigerian military debunks all claims that the military embarked on reprisal attacks in Okwama community of Delta State after the killing of soldiers. I urge community leaders, elders, and the people of Delta State to assist in the investigation to identify the perpetrators of the dastardly act so that they can be held accountable for their actions. Still talking security, the Nigerian Air Force says strikes by its aircraft have destroyed a terrorist logistics storage situated in Palele near Shiruro local government area of Niger State. The Director of Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, Edward Gapwet, disclosed this in a statement released on Tuesday in Abuja. Gapwet informed that the operation was executed by troops of Operation Wild Punch, who acted on intelligence indicating the presence of terrorist weapons cache at east of Palele, adding that authorization was obtained to deploy air assets to neutralize the threat. He added that the operation, which was executed with speed and precision, resulted in significant damage to the target area, including a secondary explosion, confirming the destruction of arms and ammunition. According to Gapwet, the weapons are believed to be affiliated to a particular terrorist kingpin who is on the most wanted list of terrorists in the country. Now to Adamawa State, where the police command has paraded 58 suspects for various offenses and recovered some weapons in coordinated operations across the state. Among them were 40 Sheila boys, 11 suspected kidnappers, and 7 armed robbery suspects. The police also recovered a Toyota Prado Jeep and a Hummer bus. Additionally, they also found 2 AK-47 rifles and with 25 rounds of live ammunition, 10,000 naira in cash, a polythene bag containing charms and amulets, a power bank, and 2 GSM handsets. During the parade, the police commissioner, Dankombo Morris, stated that all the suspects had confessed to their crimes and would face appropriate charges in court. He solicited the support and cooperation of stakeholders in providing credible and timely information to the police, which would aid in preventing and combating crime and criminality and ultimately making the state safer for all. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says there will be no additional time extension for political parties that are yet to submit their nomination or their nominated candidates for the Edo and Ondo governorship elections slated for Saturday, September 25th, 2024. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stated this during the Commission's first consultative meeting with political parties for the year 2024. Noel Sampson has more on the story.
The off-cycle election in Edo is expected to hold on the 25th of September 2024 and on the 16th of November 2024 in Ondo State. With primaries concluded in Edo State, the INEC chairman urged the political parties to follow the schedules of the commission.
Only 6 parties have uploaded their nominations to the portal as at this morning. We urge you to keep to our schedule of activities and avoid last-minute rush that may undermine your ability to successfully nominate your candidates. There will be no extension of time beyond the deadline already published in the timetable and schedule of activities for the election. For the Ondo State governorship election, party primaries begin in the next 2 weeks on 6 April 2024.
Chairman of the Intra-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, Yusuf Dantale, promised that IPAC will do everything in its power to make sure the off-cycle elections are free, fair, and successful.
As we prepare for the forthcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo State and subsequent polls, IPAC will partner with INEC and stakeholders in the electoral process to further consolidate our democracy and restore Nigeria's dignity and prosperity as the great arsenal of democracy in Africa.
Meanwhile, both INEC and IPAC have assured Nigerians of having an off-cycle elections that will reflect the will of the people. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court, Abuja, on Tuesday denied bail to the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The court, however, ordered accelerated hearing of the case involved in the embattled IPOB leader who is facing charges bordering on treasonable felony. Delivering her ruling, Justice Nyako held the court would only grant an accelerated hearing in the matter and ordered the prosecution to call its first witness. Counseled for Nnamdi Kanu, Aloy Ejimako, expressed his displeasure over the ruling, saying the IPOB leader's legal team cannot go on with the proceedings if given an opportunity to speak with their, if not being given an opportunity, rather, to speak with their client. Ejimako added that it has also been difficult to have a meeting with Nnamdi Kanu in the custody of the DSS as their conversations was always monitored, adding that Kanu is still wearing the same outfit which the court ordered be changed. He alleged unfair treatment of his client, which he said contravenes the Nigerian Constitution. This is the news update on Trust TV. Still to come. Harnessing the benefits of irrigation, Benue farmers and traders share their expectations More on that and many other stories up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Let's take another look at our top stories at this hour. The Nigerian Senate condemns killing of soldiers in Delta State as the House of Representatives urges the Nigerian military to consider pardoning perpetrators. The Nigerian Air Force has carried out an airstrike that hit terrorist logistics storage in Niger State. Now, the River Benue proves to be an invaluable resource for those harnessing its potentials. During the dry season, various business opportunities such as farming, fishing, and gravel sand excavation thrive along the river banks, offering employment opportunities for many in Benue State. In the agriculture sector, small-scale farmers are capitalizing on dry season farming, utilizing the water resources of River Benue. Here's Jimmy Azande with more on the story.
With the pumping machine technology, the farmers have turned the dry lands into wetlands for cultivation of vegetables, pepper, cassava, rice, among many other crops as the water recedes into the River Benue. The petty traders that come to these farmlands on a daily basis to buy farm produce say it has been a positive economic development for their families.
You know good, my woman sit down for house, they wait for husband. Because sometimes husband no get money to give you, you go carry your own, they cook for your children. Like me, I get 6 children. Only my husband cannot train them, unless I will support her. Woman like me, anywhere when I day, anybody where sit down for house, where you cannot do business, stand up, come buy alefo. The alefo they easy to sell. Because if you carry 2,000, 1,000 come, you can buy alefo 2,000, you can sell at 3,000, you can sell at 4,000. You go get your own gain, where you go support your husband.
Because this leaf good. As if you dey house, you will be suffer, but if you are buying the leaf, anyhow you will get little something. You cannot borrow, say give me maggi, give me salt, give me onions. Maybe at least you get 100 naira inside to buy salt and feed your children. Or buy soap and bath them well. Or buy cream inside. Because you cannot look for all those things. You cannot wait and sit for your husband to come and go and hustle outside, come and give you.
The dry season farmers say it has been a wonderful experience, even though with many challenges that require expertise and adequate finance.
A week at the borrow pumping machine, at the higher pumping machine 3 days. At the higher rate on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. And then the pumping machine, they do work for me for 3 hours, 4 hours. They pay 3,500 naira. As some dema, they pay 4,000 naira. If government will help us with the fertilizer, chemical, and give us loan to help us, to assist us, so that we by ourselves, we invite and we encourage the other youth that sit down idle.
The assessment I took for some time concerning this dry season farming, yes, the house of people do normally come when there is dry season, start farming, this irrigational farming, using their pumping machine, put water, women do come, their source of income. But the majority here is that I could not see the time that the government intervened in terms of at least to help them out on one thing or the other. Let's say the fertilizer or any kind of a grant to help them out.
There have been persistent calls from agricultural experts for farmers to embrace off-season or dry season farming in order to guarantee food security in the country. At the moment, the riverine opportunity is underutilized in Benue State because only a few farmers are practicing irrigation farming, which they say is sophisticated and requires the support of the government at all levels. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
In other news, owners of radio stations across the 36 states of the Federation in Nigeria on Tuesday raised an alarm over the increasing price of diesel, which is currently being sold at 1,600 naira per litre, calling on the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria to immediately intervene. While declaring that the broadcast industry is currently in turmoil, the quote, challenges are becoming increasingly life-threatening, according to the media entrepreneurs, specifically saying that the government policies are thwarting efforts to create jobs for teeming youths in the country. The Chief Executive Officer of Rave FM, Oshogbo Femi Adefila, who spoke to journalists on behalf of the collective, explains that it costs an average of 400,000 naira to stay on air for 12 hours for a small 2 kilowatt transmitter powered radio station operating on a 100 kVA generator. Adefila told reporters that although the present crisis is not unique to the broadcast industry as it affects all sectors of the economy, he however says as storytellers, media owners often neglect themselves to share their own challenges and struggles being faced in the industry. According to him, the broadcast space is youth-centric and youth-driven, arguing that if the government continues to undermine the sector, more young persons will join the already overcrowded job market. Let's turn our attention to developments on the international scene, where a new report by the United Nations says civilians are bearing the brunt of a surge in intercommunal conflicts in parts of South Sudan. The number of people affected by violence in South Sudan has surged by 35% in the last 3 months of 2023 due to intercommunal conflicts, according to the United Nations report. The UN mission in South Sudan documented 233 incidents of violence affecting 862 people. In a report released on Monday, it says 406 people were killed while 293 were injured, with 100 abducted and 63 subjected to conflict-related sexual violence. The report also says intercommunal violence by community-based militias or civil defense groups accounted for 86% of all civilians affected. More than half of those affected by the violence were caught up in retaliatory attacks related to the border dispute between rival factions of the Dinka ethnic group, the Twik Dinka from Warab State, the main hotspot for conflict, and the Ngok Dinka from the oil-rich region of Abyei, with 263 killed, according to the report. Talking sports now, former Nigeria forward Finidi George will lead the Super Eagles when they confront their West African arch-rivals Ghana in an international friendly in Marrakesh on Friday. As of Tuesday afternoon, 12 of the 22 players expected had arrived in Morocco's fourth largest city, with defenders Gabriel Osho and Tyrion Ebui and forwards Victor Osimhen and Taiwo Awoniyi having been knocked out by injury. At the team's Adams Park Hotel in Marrakesh, goalkeepers Stanley Nwabali and Olorunleke Ojo, defenders Calvin Bassi, Semi Ajayi, Jamilu Collins, Bruno Onyemechi and Benjamin Tenimu. Midfielders Alex Iwobi, Raphael Oyedika and Al-Hassan Yusuf, as well as forwards Moses Simon, Nathan Teller, Cyril Desas, Fisayo, Dele Bashiru, Sadiq Umaru and Ademola Lukman are all in camp. Goalkeepers include Francis Uzoho, defenders Chidoze Awaziem, midfielders Frank Onyeka and Wilfred Ndidi, as well as forward Kelechi Ehenacho, were being expected in Marrakesh on Tuesday. Only Turkey-based defender Bright Osai Samuel is being expected on Wednesday. The Super Eagles will also take on the Les Eagles of Mali at the same Grand Stade Stadium in Marrakesh on the 26th of March this year. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. We'll be back with more news stories later at 9. For now, feel free to follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more of our contents, and you can also check out our website trusttv.com for the latest news and documentaries. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching.